guys, and welcome back to Couch Critics. I'm Ruby.
I'm Lamia, and today we're gonna review Malcolm and Marie.
Yes, Malcolm and Marie. It's a Netflix original. It was filmed in 2021, but to me, it's like it's a timeless masterpiece.
And it's also a Sam Levinson movie.
Yes.
Who is the producer of Euphoria
Yeah, and The Idol
and The Idol.
Yeah. But I haven't watched either Euphoria or The Idol, but from what I've seen, it's just completely different. This movie is basically a fight scene between a couple. It's basically one evening with a couple, and it's just there's two characters in the whole movie. It's in black and white, and it's basically a conversation that goes like up and down, and that's basically what the movie is.
And also, it was filmed during the pandemic, which explains why it's only two people and it's in a closed space.
True.
And it stars Zendaya, John David Washington, very good actor. Zendaya also.
Yes, of course, always. I think it's one of the first movie where I saw her really take the lead and be a main character, and I loved it. And she was 25 when she played that movie, and she was playing the role of someone who's 25, so I think it was very authentically delivered. Yeah, I rewatched it, by the way, and I think you did too. I watched it like a few years back, and I rewatched it again this week, and it just hits so different come after time. I feel like the more you grow up, the more you understand it better. And
did you appreciate it more when you watched it the second time?
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched it, I was very amazed by it. But yeah, I did because the first time I saw it as a movie, this time I really saw it as like a relationship, like story and everything. So yeah, I think I did appreciate it more. Yeah. What about you? What did you think?
I had a different experience when I watched it when it first came out, and I was still obsessed with Euphoria and like everything about Sam. And I genuinely like Sam Levinson. Like one of the few people who liked The Idol.
Yeah.
I don't know many people who did, but I did. I really liked Euphoria, but it's like now that I've taken a step back from his work, I appreciate his work way less. And I watched Malcolm and Marie a few days ago for the second time, and to me it was just a fancy fight.
It is, yeah.
It was watching a fancy couple fight about fancy unrelatable stuff.
Yeah.
And it was almost annoying because like everything that they were fighting about didn't matter. She was completely in the wrong, he was completely in the wrong too. And it just I couldn't stand it. And it's also I saw so many things that the lead actor David Washington said, who were like direct critiques to Sam Levinson in real life. And also this whole talk about race from like a white director is, I don't know, it's a little bit weird to me.
True, that's true. I didn't, because in the movie, it happens after Malcolm's movie comes out, and it's about like the critics, and basically the whole movie is about Mary being bothered with him not saying thank you to her during the speech. But I think there's a lot of underlying problems to that that they after end up mentioning. But yeah, it is. He has a lot of pride being a person of color's director. And there's a lot of critique to that, but the writer is white, so it is an odd depiction.
And also, I don't know if you've noticed, but I felt really uncomfortable watching Zendaya half naked for like almost for a great majority of the movie. When the lead male actor wasn't, he was still wearing his suit. And no one's like, from what I saw of Zendaya, like she doesn't agree with like full nudity. Like even in Euphoria, she was, I think, the only character who wasn't naked, like fully naked. So I was just wondering, like, maybe if it was any other actress, would she be even more naked? So it just makes me a little bit weirded out by Sam Levinson's way of directing, because it just doesn't seem fair between like the actors.
I think it's always been this way, and yeah, the fact that it's always been this way doesn't mean that it should keep being this way. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you mentioned like Zendaya's nudity, but I still think it was, there were movies that did it so much worse. So to me, it was very
Yeah.
like, it was very
Minimal.
respectable in some way.
And he commented about it in the movie
Yeah.
when Zendaya was saying, it was literally asking Malcolm, she was asking him, why was one of his actresses in Malcolm's movie naked during a scene? She
Yeah.
wasn't wearing a bra, and he was just like, because the actress wanted that.
Yeah.
And I'm just, there is no actress in the world who would just like ask to be naked in front of technicians and like other actors. And yeah, and it just reminded me of Sydney Sweeney
Yeah, I'm
when
just thinking about
she
that.
had
Yeah.
her scene with the Jacob Elordi, and she was literally half naked and Jacob was fully clothed. And like people were so mad about that scene because it was so unnecessary. And she just started saying that no, she was comfortable and that's what she wanted to do. And it's, to me, it's a direct commentary on that scene with
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I did see the parallelism, but I think sometimes actors, they, I don't know, I do believe that some actors like would want it. I don't know. I feel like in the film industry, people want to be immortalized and they want to like remember how
They looked.
they looked. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the plot, the fight?
Yeah. See, it's funny because I have complete opposite of your perspective, and I really appreciated the movie. But the one thing that I was mostly amazed by, and that I was like, it's definitely not like this in real life, at least not that I know of, is like the monologues. Like, I feel like
Mhm.
usually when people are having conversations, it's very rare to have someone talk for like 5 minutes straight about something. There's usually a lot of, exchanges between the characters, and I feel like this movie was just monologue after monologue after monologue. It just made me wonder, like, nobody is that well like collected when in a fight, it's usually a lot of interruptions. I don't know, that's from, maybe that's my Middle Eastern side speaking, but usually when we fight, like, we interrupt people, and there's a lot more exchanges. And this one, it was a lot of very collected thoughts, and everything was so well said, and it makes you appreciate it more because you understand it and it's well delivered and everything. But it's just a bit different from real life, in my opinion.
I totally agree, but at the same time, she's an actress, he's a director. Maybe
Right.
Hollywood people communicate this way.
Yeah.
So it like I did not really, it didn't bother me that much because at the same time what was said in those fights was very hurtful. So I guess maybe the person who was hurt needed time to like think
Yeah.
about their response. Do you agree with the fact that Mary was mad about Malcolm not including her more about in his project? And like overall, do you think that it's okay to maybe get inspired by someone and like write and create an art about their story without their consent and without including them?
Without their consent is very like line for
But
me.
do you
Like,
think you need consent in the first place to ask for it?
really depends, but like, I just want to say, I don't think Mary didn't, like, I think Mary was very consensual of the whole thing during the
Mm-hmm.
movie because she was helping Malcolm with the script, she was
Yeah.
reading it with him and everything. But so there's that. Just telling someone's story like without their consent, I feel like if you don't have their consent, it's just means that you're not that close to them. But I don't know. I don't think anybody can tell someone else's story, no matter what. Like, I feel like even if Malcolm wrote his story about Mary, it probably was not, and it was authentic because he was so close to her. But in different cases, I think it's I don't know. It's not. It's You can't tell someone's story. Like, whether you have their consent or no, you can't do that because it's someone else's life, and no matter who tells your story, nobody will tell it more truthfully than you. And I feel like stories and movies, they can be repetitive. You can do the same plot,
Mm.
but if it's a different person who's writing it and directing it, it's just going to be perceived completely differently.
Yeah.
And I think that Mary, yes, like, it was her story, but it wasn't just her story. and like she had lived, like a lot of people go what Mary went through, because basically the Malcolm's movie is about a girl who's a drug addict. But you know, if like even Sam Levinson, I think about it and I think about Euphoria. I haven't watched it, but I know that it's about someone who's like a drug addict.
Yeah.
And it's maybe the same story, but it's just this like depicted in a different way. So I feel like no matter what happens, and no matter like who is inspired by you, nobody can tell someone else's story. And Mary could have always, like, she could have always fought like to be in the project and everything. But I think she didn't fight enough to like be in the movie and to be the actress. I'm pretty sure if she asked for it, if she auditioned, she would have gotten it. But I think that the fact that she was dating the director, she was offended that he didn't give her the role without an audition. Like she felt entitled to it. And that's the part that I don't agree with. But I do agree with the fact that she was upset about him not being grateful for that. Because I think like a thank you and a speech can go a very long way. And he was inspired by her life at the end of the days. And as she said it, he might have had the draft before meeting her, but just it wouldn't have been as good if he didn't know her and if they weren't that close during the movie.
I respect your opinion, but I totally don't agree with it. I don't think that any story is that original. I don't think you need consent to tell anybody's story, especially if you work in the arts industry. And also, like, we tend to forget that, like, nothing is that original, and the like anything about the movie industry itself, it's the art of storytelling. It's not the art of telling your own stories. It's all about being inspired by the people around you, by the things that you've been through, and coming up with something great. And I feel like what makes a great director is this ability to tell someone's story in the most truthful way. And it's also what makes a great actor, because like if we only tell our stories, in that case, like if you're an actor, you can only play characters that resembles you. But I think it's all about putting your ego on the side and put like canceling yourself in order to let someone else exist. And yeah, like, was it hurtful to Mary? I think she's not angry about, like, from what I see, she's not angry about her story being told. She's angry about herself because she knows that she could have been more involved. She didn't take the right steps to be in that project. And that's what Malcolm told her. He told her, you need to start somewhere. You need to put in the effort. You can't just sit down and expect some like things to be handed to you. And if you're not gonna do the work, someone else will come and they will take your story, because it's not that original. I could write a story about you and like win an Oscar, and then like proceed to tell you that it's inspired by someone else, and it's valid because there is someone else who has been through the same things as you. Is it right? I don't think that's wrong. I don't think it's that wrong, because I think like people should be honored to have their story being told, because it's just I think it's such a wonderful thing to inspire someone and to make them make such a beautiful thing that will last forever about you. So if you're mad about it, it means that you saw something in this person who you wish you had. And yeah, I think she was jealous of Malcolm. To me, that's my theory. She was jealous of him because deep down she knows that she could do better than him. She knows her potential, but due to her past and everything that she's been through, there is something holding her down and like making her stand next to Malcolm instead of in front of him.
But you see, I think it's so very easy to think that you could be better than someone, but she didn't do anything, so we actually don't have proof that she could be better. Maybe in her head she could be better, but when you come to do things concretely, you just start seeing so many obstacles. And this is why it's so easy to like criticize Malcolm, but she, as you said, she didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And to go back on like the telling someone else's story point, there's a beautiful exhibition that was done by a photographer called Roosevelt, and Kate Blanchett was involved. It was called Manifesto, and I've seen it 4 years ago. I barely remember it, but the one thing from that exhibition stuck with me, and it's they said a quote that says, originality is unexistent. It's not where you take things from, it's where you take them to. And I think that this really
It's beautiful. So, Malcolm and Mary,
Malcolm and Mary.
go watch it and form your own opinion about it.
And let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you next week.